Tommy Bowden joins us, the ball coach in Cancun of all places. To what do we owe the honor, Coach?
Cancun for one night, then I'm headed to vacating of the premises till this hurricane gets through. Then I'll be back.
Okay.
I'm on family vacation. We do it once a year, and it just happened to hit it this year with my whole family down. My wife, my grandsons, my children come down for 1 week.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you're violating any family codes here by doing a sports show here on OutKick in Cancun, but unlike many other coaching professions, there's not much time off. There's not much time off coaching football. Don't get me wrong, but it's hard to get in touch with a ball coach this time of year, is it not?
It really is, because what's made it even more difficult, number one, you got about 1 or 2 weeks in the summer, and that's it. You got summer camps, you got official visits. But with this transfer portal in NIL, a coach really has to stay on campus just about 365 days a year. So for a coach to get away right now, it's really hard, especially to do a show, because they're entertaining, they're babysitting their own players plus entertaining transfer portal guys. So they have less time than they've had in the past.
Tommy Bowden with us here on Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow. What would Bobby Bowden say about what's going on in the battle with Florida State and the ACC?
Dad gum, what's going on? He'd say, Dad gum, what is happening? But he would be, I think he'd be pleased with the expansion of the conference. But the transfer portal NIL is being an old school guy. Is what would drive him nuts in this profession. What
would he want to do? Would he want to see FSU stay in the ACC? I mean, who knows where they end up right now?
I think he did. His original intention, and I know people have heard different things, but I remember when he was first, they approached him initially, and he was familiar with SEC. The SEC is a very difficult league, and he thought it'd be easier to get into the national championship game in the ACC than the SEC. I know the administrators looked heavily toward the academic slant, but his was, hey, the road is a little less challenged in the ACC at that particular time than the SEC.
Hey, Coach, it's not much about academics anymore, is it?
No. I coached at Duke for 4 years.
Yeah.
And Duke had the highest graduation rate of anybody in the country. They fire guys there just like they do everywhere else. They're graduating players 100%, and they'll fire you in a heartbeat.
Well, I mean, coaches adapt. Nick Saban adapted to the new wave of whatever offense he was trying to fight, but we saw what happened with the quarterbacks at Alabama. For instance, programs have to do the same. And Clemson, Florida State, two programs you know well, especially Clemson, battling the ACC in court so they can potentially move on, we'll see, and exit the conference. What was your initial reaction when all of this was going down, considering what we saw with the Pac-12, what the Big 12 was trying to do, and just the fact that it was an arms race?
Well, those two teams, Clemson and Florida State, those are the two schools that probably have the most what I call SEC flavor. There's the passion of the fans, the size of the stadiums, the commitment from the administration. Those two schools, if any. But, when all this started to happen not long ago, being not only in the ACC, but doing television work for 8 or 9 years in the ACC, you learn certain administrators and people. So I called a couple of them. I said, what is going on? Why they got a chance? Does the SEC want Florida State? And, what I came out of that conversation was SEC wants North Carolina. They don't have a footprint in North Carolina. They got one in Florida. They've got one in South Carolina. They won't have North Carolina now. So who would want Clemson? Would the Big Ten want them? I know the Big Ten would want Florida State because of the Florida footprint. So there's a lot of question marks up in the air.
Well, and now, I mean, it could be just a duo, but it seems like it's going to be more teams if it's going to be anything, right? Like I don't know what you're hearing. I'm curious, but it's not just going to be Florida State.
Oh no! I think if it goes, it'll tumble, because right now the SEC and the Big Ten are creating some separation between the rest of the power conferences, and I think any school would want a piece of those two if they had a chance. So no, I think if Florida State and Clemson, but either one or both go, then I think you'll see the cookie crumble pretty quickly in the ACC. And but I think it starts with those two. And right now, boy, it just seems like you could close your eyes and just pick straws and to see what's going to happen, whether they stay or leave.
Tommy Bowden, our guest here on Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow. I find it really interesting but first off, I'm all about get all the money you can, no matter what profession you're in. But it's hard to find championship caliber head coaches right now in college football. Nick Saban's now on ESPN and College Game Day. Jim Harbaugh just won a title. He's now in the NFL. You look around, and it's Kirby Smart, and we've got Mac Brown, and then there's Dabo. And Dabo's catching some heat last year. And I'm thinking, man, there's not many coaches with a resume like that. Jimbo Fisher, he's out in Texas A&M. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. That resume build to go get a title, he's got 2 of them. And, old saying goes, coaches are hired to be fired. He's been there, 16 years or so. But you had a great run, too. You know it. I mean, you're 72-45 or whatever it was at Clemson. But should they be wary of jumping on the bandwagon of criticism if things don't go well this year?
Well, that's kind of the unfortunate way this profession is. And I thought you saw a little bit of frustration with Dabo yesterday. He set the standard really, really high. And he was just, I think, in making some criticism. But with what they get paid nowadays, I think you're going to see a lot of what's just happening with 5 coaches from college football either taking coordinator roles, Chip Kelly at Ohio State, and then the guy at Buffalo, and the guy at South Alabama going to Alabama, the guy at BC going to be the defensive coordinator in the NFL. So they need to be careful if they get on him too much, because he'll take off. He's got plenty of money. When I hired him, Dabo wasn't in coaching. He got out of coaching. He was out of coaching 2 years when I hired him, and call a little bit of criticism because, hey, you can hire anybody you want to a Clemson. Why are you hiring a guy that's been, it's out of coaching? So he's had a taste of civilian life per se, and with this transfer portal, it wouldn't surprise me if he say, hey, I can do other things. I've done other things, and I've set the standard. He's going to have a statute and everything you can do at Clemson to be in, ring of honor statute and all that stuff. He'll have, but they have a short fuse there. I went 9-3 and signed a 7-year contract. 6 months later, 6 months later, I was gone. So they have a short leash.
No doubt. Is it true that sometimes the time just runs out? Like that, we don't see runs of what he's doing or what Saban. You just kind of get. There's friction when there shouldn't be, just because of the length of time together.
Yeah, I heard a statement made about, you remember Spike Dykes used to be the head coach of Texas Tech?
Yes.
Old time guy. He made a statement one time. Every year that you stay at a school, you lose 10% of your support. so after about 10 years, I stayed at Clemson about 10 years, you lose all your support. So, yeah, you can't overstay your welcome. I think maybe Mac Brown at Texas was a little bit of that, had a lot of success, won a national championship. And you can name several others. My father being a prime example, stayed a little bit too long. He won another year, and what he did was still kicked out. So
you get to a point. You get to a point where you're able to run for governor and win, or you're going to be fired.
Exactly.
That was your dad. That's Nick Saban. There's a very short list, and Dabo could do that until. Is he embracing the portal the right way? Is that the issue? I don't know if there is an issue as much as his creation, because again, Clemson on a down year is not that bad.
He's got a comfort zone on how he operates this program, and it's building through high schools. He is, one of the reasons I hired him. I had several good candidates, but he has sent me a resume with his signees, and it's impressive. That's his forte is high school recruiting. He's like a pit bull. He sinks the teeth in you. He does not let go, and he gets them. And I think he feels maybe his comfort zone, the basic core of his football philosophy. High school players recruit and build, maybe a little out of his comfort zone with that. And because I think he's made a pretty strong statement. He's won enough games where he can talk like he does, but I think his comfort zone is the high school athlete without and minimal effort in the transfer portal. That'll hurt him.
Man, it's tough if you're wanting to build around trust and integrity, and you made a commitment. I don't know if you can do that anymore.
Trust and integrity. Why are you using those words in college football? Like I say, but that's the way it used to be. The commitment was for 4 or 5 years, depending on whether you were redshirt or not. And my father had 14 10-win seasons. That's 7 quarterbacks starting for 2 years, a redshirt junior and senior year. He would never have that record. That record will never be broken because of transfer transfer portal. But yeah, you won't see coaches like that anymore. But that makes it awful difficult to do what he felt comfortable doing. Bring them in, grow them, work them, grow them into great athletes, and just not happening. But integrity and that other word you used is not a part of the game. Trust, forget it.
It's gone. Yeah. Tommy, how much do you miss the Bowden Bowl?
I enjoyed it. We played 9 times. My father won 5, I won 4. I enjoyed it. It's no fun though when jobs are on the line. The first one was fun.
Yeah.
He won national championship there. He had 14-3 at halftime. We're coming off 3-win season, 17-14. Then he killed me. Literally killed me in the other 3 games until I signed better players and won 4 out of 5. The first one was fun. After that, it wasn't fun.
What was the week like? Is it just like a normal week in terms of coach interaction, or how did you guys handle that? Was it discussed at all?
Well, the first week, because it'd never been done in the history of college football, my sports information director, the best one ever, a guy named Tim Bray, came to me and said, listen, we're going to have to start doing interviews for the Florida State game a week in advance. We were playing Georgia Tech that week. I said, man, I feel uncomfortable talking about Florida State, before we got Georgia Tech. But then that was the only one like that. The demand for media credentials was so high that I had to do interviews and appearances and stuff week before. But after that, the luster had worn off, so it became a normal week. But it is unusual to look across the field and see your father. Then all your cousins and all your brothers and sisters are on his sideline. It's me against the rest of them.
What do you miss the most about either being on the sideline or, coaches want to coach, but do you think you could approach it the same way now? Do you like the way the game has changed, or would you prefer, hey, I like what I'm doing?
No, I enjoy what I'm doing, which is nothing. Look at you. I'm really good at that. But it would be really hard with this transfer portal NIL, because I'm a little bit old school. I'll be 70 July the 10th, and I'm kind of got some of that old school flavor of me, and I around my father enough to know that the game has changed a whole bunch the way we used to coach and felt comfortable coaching. And I just don't. The part I enjoy, which is the relationship with the players, you would still have, but that relationship is gone because of money, and all of a sudden that relationship is gone.
Man, and I think, and I'm guilty of this. I look at it through the head coaching lens on the busy schedule. Like I can't imagine being an assistant on the recruiting trail, trying to recruit your roster and having a position. That's where you're just worn thin to the point where I'm not even sure if you have any family interaction. You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, it's used to be. There are certain times where you had to really hit it and get it.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, it's 365 days a year. That's why I think you'll see more coaches. They're earning more money. I think you'll see them leave to go to the pros or retire 55, 56, like I did at 54. I think you'll see them retire a lot earlier because of what you just mentioned.
What about the college football landscape this upcoming season intrigues you the most? What storyline, what program? We've got, of course, the realignment with Texas and Oklahoma now in the SEC. We know what the Big Ten has done. The Big 12 has certainly shifted. The ACC has SMU officially as a member. It's kind of crazy to look around. What intrigues you the most?
I'm anxious to see the adaptation of the new transcontinental programs that are going from one coast to the other, and how they fit that in to their travel and their work week. It's demanding as it is on the student athletes, but I'm anxious to see how these universities tie that all together with those cross country games and tying it in with some rest for the players. And it's happening in several conferences. You mentioned the one most intriguing to me is the Texas Oklahoma into the SEC. To me is going to be that, and the Southern Cal. I think it's Southern Cal and Oregon going to the Big Ten.
Yeah, and UCLA as well, and Washington. And
UCLA. So that's I'm really anxious to see how that adaptation takes place in those two great conferences.
Yeah, and the college football playoff.
App going 12 teams. It'd be great.
Are coaches going to be lauded more, appreciated more for making the playoff, or are we going to see more jobs on the line for not getting in the college football playoff? Which way does it go?
I think you'll see more coaches applauded because it's only been down to 4, and that's been a little tight-knit family. Oklahoma, it's been Alabama, it's been Georgia, it's been Ohio State, Clemson.
Oregon.
It's Oregon. It's been those teams. Now you're going to see more guys get a piece of the pie. Therefore, their alumni base, their contributors are going to be more excited. So I think you'll see more coaches praised because the people that have been getting in, the Georgias, the Oklahomas, the Ohio States, they're still going to get in.
Yeah.
So their fan base is going to be happy, plus all the additional guys that are going to be in. I think it's going to add some excitement to their fan base and make college football maybe a little more exciting than it already is.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. Missouri and Ole Miss come to mind. They could have historic seasons. Their schedule is, it's an SEC schedule, but it's not what Texas and Oklahoma are facing. It's not what Tennessee or Bama will be facing on
Florida. Florida will be another example.
Florida is brutal.
Killer
Great one.
schedule.
But we could see Lane Kiffin and Eli Drinkwitz get into the playoff and potentially host a game. And while it's a great season there, compared to what we might see at Florida, where we'll see if Napier makes it through the season, just because it's that difficult. It's interesting how we will view through the lens of success versus failure, given the fact it's tough to make an even schedule. It's tough to make it fair and square right now.
It's made the two schools that you have mentioned. I interviewed at Ole Miss and I about did at Missouri one time. I think those two, it's amazing you mentioned them because I think they'll be so ecstatic to win 10 or 11 and not go to playoffs simply to win that many games. They haven't been spoiled yet. So those particular cases that you just mentioned, I think would they're unique in the fact that, hey, they 10, 11 and not get to the playoffs, we're still happy. You can still have your job for one more year.
So I see you're in the weight room. You're in the gym. What's the routine?
I work out about 3 hours a day. It's not what I used to work out.
3 hours?
Doing some. Well, yeah, but I walk for an hour and 20 minutes. When I jogged, I didn't count that. I used to laugh at those people. Now I'm one of those. So some will be on the elliptical. I'll either lift for 30, 40 minutes, do some core work on a video, and then I'll either ride a bike. It's not 3 hours of really hitting and getting it, but it's for a 70-year-old guy, it keeps me pretty active. I can eat what I want to eat. So that's the biggest reason I do it.
You should do that there for sure. I don't know if you've seen the Dabo Samuel video where he's getting 22 miles per hour on a treadmill, just letting it rip. That's what you look like whenever you joined us during the break. You're getting after
I was
it,
on the elliptical doing about level 1.
Hey, great to catch up with you. Thanks for talking some college football here. And again, if you're looking for weird, bad news, I guess I should say strange, big news breaking, this is the weekend to do it. This is the news drop. This is who knows? We saw the Texas Oklahoma news come out a couple of years ago. Of course, USC 2 years ago. This could be the news dump weekend where maybe we see something on Florida State.
And it's usually quiet before that happens. So this is a good time. It's quiet. Got a hurricane coming July 4th, and all of a sudden July 5th rolls away, and there's no Cancun, and 4 teams have changed conferences.
Are you guys the only family there right now due to the hurricane on the way?
There's not a whole lot of people here. I'm from Florida. I've been through several hurricanes. So we'll just kind of laugh at this one.
I've never understood why Miami, both the Dolphins and the Hurricanes, host games in the first weekend of September. It's guaranteed to be a deluge. Hey, this has been a lot of fun. Hopefully we can do this again soon, Coach.
Hey, happy July 4th.
Yeah, same to you. There's Coach Tommy Bowden.